Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not worry about the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. I want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving today, and also I want to say thank you to all of my wonderful viewers. I am very, very grateful for you, particularly for people who have been watching for a long time. Thanks for sticking with me. And in fact, I'd like to announce also that this month we are starting our 25th year of continuous production. And so we have been around a long time, and I must say that my wonderful viewers have certainly made it all worthwhile. So thank you very much, and I hope you keep tuning in. And so tonight's show, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, is titled A Costly Slip-Up. And that is because there are 6 planets in a harsh T-cross among mutable signs during a wonderful full moon at 1 degree of Gemini that we're having tomorrow. And Gemini rules easy transitional change and communication and all short forms of conversation or talking to people. In other words, it can rule advertising and promoting and marketing. It can rule our brothers and sisters, our pals, our buddies, and our neighbors. And it rules short journeys and all short forms of communication, such as journalism or even social media. And so this full moon is sort of loaded, and that is why there can't be a costly slip-up right now. And that can be because that full moon in Gemini at 1 degree tomorrow is opposing the sun at 1 degree of Sagittarius. But there are more planets than that in Sagittarius. The sun is conjuncting Mercury, Gemini's own ruler, and it's also conjuncting Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius. So all 3 of those planets are opposing that full moon. And we know that when the moon and the sun oppose or square each other, that can lead to indecision or confusion. But the reason why there can be a costly slip-up is because these 4 planets are all being harshly squared by Mars, which has moved into Pisces, and that rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And also Neptune, the ruler of the sign, is in Pisces as well. So those 2 planets are squaring the full moon in Gemini and all 3 planets in Sagittarius. And so that simply means that someone could have made a very costly slip-up behind the scenes, and now they will have to pay for the consequences of their actions. Mars is not at all at home in Pisces, because Mars is an aggressive planet. It rules war and hate and jealousy and greed. And Pisces can rule depravity, it can rule insanity, it can rule people that are prone to alcoholism or drug addiction or sexual promiscuity, sort of going off the deep end. At the same time, Pisces is a double-bodied sign, and it can rule charity and forgiveness. And it can certainly rule the whole pharmaceutical field and the oil and gas business, or liquids, because it's a water sign, and it can rule healing. So what we've got is we've got a planet that is not at all happy in the sign it rules, and that is Mars in Pisces. And we've got a full moon that is coming up against a lot of other planets as well. And so the irony of all of this is that when someone does make a costly slip-up behind the scenes, they will not regret doing it. In other words, they will have done something that has gone according to plan, or it has followed some sort of hidden plot. And that means that they could have been wanting to do harm to others. And so they certainly would intend to do that, so they wouldn't feel bad about it, but they're going to feel really bad about getting caught. And that is what could happen now, because the lights, the full moon and the sun in Sagittarius, they're both squaring that sign of Pisces, and they're both squaring Mars. And in fact, there's more good planets in a favorable alignment than there are these. And so people are simply going to have to pay. And that simply means that if they get caught in some sort of costly slip up, and it could be something where, you know, somebody just says a little bit too much, or they give a little tip to what they're really doing behind the scenes, and that's how they get caught. Whatever it is, it's going to be very costly, because, not because they regret it, but because there could even be a prison sentence involved in the consequence of it, and that is because Pisces does rule all areas of confinement, including prisons. And so this is a time, actually, thank heavens, on our Thanksgiving Day, when good overcomes evil. And the reason why that can be happening is because Venus is at home in the sign it rules, Libra, which does rule the law. And it is sextiling the 3 planets in Sagittarius, the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius, and Sagittarius rules the courts. So law and order will prevail. That's what we can be thankful for. And that simply means that the reason why it will prevail is because with Mars in Pisces, it means there is no escape. And Pisces rules escape. But now, with that aggressive planet there, it means that someone has locked the back door, or someone has sealed the escape hatch shut. And so there will be no escape, and that's why somebody is going to have to pay dearly for their costly slip up. And in fact, it's going to work out, I think, that somebody or a group or an organization had been tending to go after somebody else, and instead they're going to get caught in their own trap. And it will be a trap that was meant for others, but they'll get caught in it instead. And that could be poetic justice, couldn't it? And as an added bonus, there could be a prison sentence involved. So that's what can be happening under tomorrow's full moon. What does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, that full moon in Gemini tomorrow does sextile your sun. And so that simply means that you may see somebody or hear of somebody who is making some sort of costly slip up. Or it can be that if you have been involved in anything behind the scenes, it might happen to you, Aries. Now, the reason why is because Mars and Neptune in Pisces are right behind your sun sign. And so that Mars is sort of creeping up behind you. It simply means there can be trouble in the background of your life. It may not be that you're causing the trouble, Aries. It may be that somebody else wants to cause some trouble. So you really need to sort of cool it and really be on your guard, and be very careful what you do, and particularly careful in what you say. And so this is a time where you should be cautious, because Uranus in your sign is being opposed by that dominant Venus in Libra. And remember, I said law and order will prevail. And that's why you really need to make sure you're on the up and up during this time. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, a very unusual thing is happening. In fact, it hasn't happened since 2017, and it is that there are no planets in any of the fixed signs. How rare. And so there are 4 fixed signs, Taurus, yours, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And there are no planets in any of those signs, and that simply means, Taurus, lucky you, there's nothing challenging you right now. So I think you're going to have a pretty happy Thanksgiving, Taurus. And it can simply be that you may be even sort of surprised and thinking, oh, where's the trouble coming from? Because I think you've had quite a bit of it as you have been challenged, at least in the last year or year and a half, while there were a lot of planets in fixed signs. But now there aren't any. And so I think that you can sort of rest right now. Either rest on your laurels or just have a very happy and calm Thanksgiving. Because this is a wonderful time when actually I think people are beginning to really appreciate you a little bit more, Taurus. And they may have been taking you for granted. That's never very complimentary. But now I think they can be appreciating you more. And that could make your holiday a lot more enjoyable as well. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, the full moon tomorrow is in your sign, but it is meeting a lot of trouble. And that is because that full moon in your sign is being opposed by the sun, Mercury, your own ruler, and Jupiter in Sagittarius. And what's even worse is that it is being squared by that very aggressive Mars and then Neptune in Pisces. And that means there is no escape. There's no way out of something for anybody right now. And so people are going to get caught or make a costly slip up behind the scenes, and they'll have to pay for it because they'll get caught in their own trap. I hope that's not you, Gemini. And in fact, if something like this is revealed soon, it may be a blessing to you in disguise. And that could be because once a costly slip up is revealed, the law will dominate. And Venus in Libra is trining your sun, Gemini. So even if you are involved in some sort of trouble or mishap in one way or another, or affected by it, I think that you'll have the law on your side, which is good. And so I think it's just that you should be very careful and sort of keep your back to the wall right now, Gemini. The 6 planets in mutable signs, that's a little hard to overcome. And so really, I don't think you can afford to trust too many people right now. And so I think that you should try to be as diplomatic as possible and as peace-loving, but also very cautious if you can. Remember, that full moon leads to indecision and confusion, so don't be hasty with anything right now because it might be you that makes the costly slip up. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, there aren't too many planets in the water signs anymore. You have been blessed by the fact that Jupiter has been in Scorpio for a year, trining your sun, but now it's moved on. It's in Sagittarius. And so that Mars, that aggressive Mars, which can denote a lot of trouble and no escape right now, is in Pisces along with Neptune, and they are trining your sun sign. And that means, I think, Cancer, that when a costly slip-up occurs, when someone else gets caught in their own trap that was meant for others, but they get caught in it instead, I think that you're going to be glad to know that, Cancer. So even if you are a little bit surprised about who is getting caught, at least the truth will be out in the open, and that way people can work with it and sort of try to understand it. And the good news is that, you know, law and order will prevail. That is what we can be thankful for. So I don't think it's necessarily you that's making a costly slip up, but it could be somebody you know. And it could be somebody that it's going to be a blessing in disguise if you do find out the truth. Even though it may disillusion you, it's better that you know. So try to thank your lucky stars that at least the truth is out where people can really work with it. And that way they can get over it. All right, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, there are a lot of planets in the fire signs right now, and that can be a blessing to you. First of all, that full moon tomorrow in Gemini sextiles your sun. That means you might have an opportunity to do something part-time or temporary, because that's what Gemini rules. Or you can certainly be hanging around pals or buddies or friends and enjoying them, or even thinking about moving to a different neighborhood. So the communication can be pretty good. But actually, Uranus in Aries is also trining your sun, and the sun, Jupiter, and Mercury in Sagittarius are trining your sun as well. I think things are going to improve for you, Leo. And it may be, even if you are somehow involved in a costly slip-up, that with the truth coming out in the open, it could enable you to make some sort of a new beginning. And that new beginning could be an opportunity that you had missed before, earlier in the year, and it could be sort of coming back to you, and that is because Uranus is retrograde in Aries, but it is trining your sun. So I think that this can be a time when somehow, even if there is no escape for someone, you will benefit by somebody's costly slip up right now. And not just because you're going to know the truth, but because whatever they're doing as they get caught in their own trap, it may leave an opening for you, which would be good news. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when I think that you need to be super careful. And that means you too have got to keep your back to the wall. And I would not trust too many people right now, Virgo, because yours is a mutable sign. So there are 5 planets in a harsh T-cross in mutable signs, all squaring and opposing your sun sign tomorrow during the full moon in Gemini. And so you really are not going to know who to trust at all, Virgo. And so your sign likes to deal with facts. And that is what you should stick with, is the facts. Also, if you were going to focus on one thing right now, it should be the long view. In other words, your long-term goals. And that's because Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are trining your sun sign. So that is a good aspect. It is not going to completely wipe away the effects of all of these 6 planets squaring and opposing your sun sign. So I don't think that you're making a costly slip up, but I think you know somebody who's going to do that if they haven't already. And the law and order will prevail, but you could be very disillusioned at the same time. And so I think that this is a time when you just need to stick to your own long-term plans and try to sort of shut out what's going on around you, Virgo, because you may not understand it all. There could be a lot of doubt and confusion, and you're not causing it. So I think this would be a better time for you to withdraw if you can. Sort of mind your own business right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, I remember I said Venus is in your sign, and it's dominant right now because it's direct and it rules Libra. So certainly you could be popular and in a peace-loving mood, which is great. And that full moon tomorrow in Gemini trines your sun, which means that you can be hearing from your pals or your buddies or your neighbors or brothers and sisters, or you can be planning to go on a short trip, or someone could be coming to see you just for a little while, and that would be rather enjoyable as well. There's also the possibility that some new beginning that maybe didn't quite gel in the prior year, in this coming year, maybe it will sort of get underway in one way or another. It sort of depends on if the terms are right or if it's easy to do. And so you could sort of pursue that if you wanted to. So if something is very easy right now, why don't you go ahead and sort of take a few baby steps in that direction and just try it out if you want, Libra. You have nothing to lose. And also, if you haven't been treated fairly lately, you will be, because you've sort of got the law on your side right now. And so if you need to press your point, I would do it. You have nothing to fear. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when I think that you could be involved in something that has been going on behind the scenes. It could be some hidden plan or something that you weren't necessarily telling everybody about. And it could be something that you'd done in the past, not just recently, but even a few years ago. And if there is any kind of costly slip up where that activity is now revealed in one way or another, then you may have to suffer the consequences for that. Even if the whole thing is over, if you are involved in it, you may have to sort of pay up for it right now. And it could be a little bit dangerous as well for you. So there's that scenario. But on the other hand, if you have been on the side of the angels and you're not involved in anything behind the scenes, then you have no reason to fear the truth. In fact, it might be better if you knew the truth about somebody who had been doing things behind the scenes that was laying a trap for others. It might be good if you find out about that, because there will be no escape right now. If you've been involved in a hidden plan, you can't escape that anymore. So you'll have to suffer the consequences. If you know somebody else that's been involved, they can't escape either. And so this can be a time when you sort of have to face the music one way or another. And whether it involves you or involves somebody you know, the proof will be there, and therefore there will be no escape. And somebody's going to get caught in a trap they laid for somebody else. and that could evolve you in one way or another. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when I don't think you're going to get your way. Now, you have good intentions. The Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter are in your sign, but the moon, the full moon tomorrow in Gemini, is opposing your sun sign, and Mars and Neptune in Pisces are squaring it. That's where all the trouble's coming from. And so it can be that somebody who could be at a distance or somebody younger, Gemini rules youth, is not agreeing with your good ideas right now, Sagittarius. Don't worry, your good ideas are fine. I mean, people will agree with them as the year goes on, but somebody could be disagreeing with them right now and sort of want to do their own thing. But instead, we are going to discover somebody or a group that's made a costly slip up. And because of that, there can even be some sort of prison sentence threatened. And so, you know, there's going to be some sort of consequence. The sad part about it is that they're not going to be sorry for what they did. They're only going to be sorry they got caught. And so I wouldn't waste too much sympathy on them. They may be getting what they deserve. On the other hand, you know, you have to more or less stand back and think of going forward in a new way yourself, Sagittarius, because you are going to have a great year in 2019, so you can't let yourself get bogged down in things that have gone wrong in the past. You really need to focus only on the future from now on, if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when I think you can be really strong right now. And that's because, of course, Saturn is in your sign. It is your ruler, and Pluto is there as well. And that simply means that you can be very convinced of how to do something. In other words, Capricorn rules administrative steps and bureaucracies and not skipping any steps. And so you could be wanting to be very thorough about getting prepared for something. It might be a new beginning. Uranus has come back into Aries, but it is squaring your sun, so it's not necessarily a new beginning that's going to be exactly right for you, but it could be still something that you should pursue. And also, it may not involve fair terms. It may be something where the terms are a little bit unusual, and that's because Venus in Libra is squaring your sun. But at the same time, at least I don't think that you're going to be caught up in this costly slip up unless you too have been doing something behind the scenes that nobody knows about. And if it involves laying a trap for somebody else, that trap's going to boomerang right back on you instead, because there is no escape. I don't necessarily think that that is you, Capricorn, but you need to be careful right now. There are 4 planets in cardinal signs all squaring and opposing each other. So this is the time to be a little bit cautious if you can. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when you could be feeling a sense of relief. And the reason why is, just like the other fixed signs, there's nothing in your sign, or Taurus, or Leo, or Scorpio. There are no planets in fixed signs for the first time since 2017. And so it can be sort of a relief for you that you don't have to be combating anybody right now, Aquarius, and you too may have a very nice and sort of calm Thanksgiving, which would be great. And so I think that a new day can dawn for you, Aquarius, one that is not so stressful and one that is not so challenging. You've been through that this year, and possibly with the fact that Venus in Libra is trining your sun, you either have just done this or you're on the verge of getting together and having some sort of settlement or amicable agreement with somebody, or even forming a partnership that could work out pretty well in the new year. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when you have to be very careful, Pisces, because number one, there is no escape allowed for you right now, and there won't be the whole time Mars is in your sign. And Mars is getting even closer to Neptune, which is your own ruler. But these 2 planets do not mix well. And so Pisces, you could be prone to act a little bit too quickly, to say things, to overreact emotionally, and you really need to guard against that because it will get you in trouble. Your sign also rules alcoholism, drug addiction, and sexual promiscuity because it rules escape. Only with Mars in your sign, there is no more escape. So for every Pisces in the world, you really have to sort of face the truth right now. And you have to realize that if you have been doing anything according to a hidden plan behind the scenes, and you've made a costly slip up, there will be a consequence to pay for that. And you simply will have to. There is no escape from it anymore. There can be no great excuse. Some people are so good at playing the blame game, they've got an excuse for everything. Well, what that all boils down to, it means they can't be trusted because they never take responsibility for themselves. Don't let that be you, Pisces. Step up and take responsibility and face the music right now and do your best, okay? All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show, read our blog, and hear our podcast on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.